I've repeatedly asked him to respect my boundaries and just move on with his life, but he hasn't. He still comes over whenever he feels like it and lets himself in with his key. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Breakup Tapes, where we read real stories sent in by you guys and discuss how you can move on or successfully get back together in a healthy way. Today's story takes a surprising turn, and I'm excited for you to hear it, so without further ado, let's get into it. My ex Jose and I were together for 5 years. Everything seemed perfect, no red flags. Around the 4-year mark, we decided to make a big move. We wanted to relocate to Nevada, so we sold our houses in Utah, pooled our money, and bought a new home together. We also got new cars and started building what we thought was our future. Okay. We moved into our new house on September 11th, 2023. Then, just weeks later, on October 31st, he met the woman he would eventually cheat with at an event he regularly attended. I wasn't into that scene, so I didn't go with him, but I never had an issue with him going along. At first, their relationship was just a friendship, but by New Year's, it had crossed into something physical. I didn't find out about any of this until March 2024, when he broke up with me. Wow. That's also when I learned he started using some drugs that I'm not going to mention, but you can read on there, because I don't want to get demonetized by YouTube. I grew up in a household surrounded by drug addiction, so I don't tolerate it in my life. I think that's a great choice. This was also a huge deal breaker for me. Okay, so we're not even that far into the story, but this is crazy. Like, you were with this guy, I think you said 4 years? 5 years. And I think 4 years up to that point. No, maybe 4.5, 5 years. And then all of a sudden, everything changes. Like, this drug stuff starts happening. He's cheating on you. So this is a crazy situation for you. Okay, let's keep going. As for his mistress, she eventually found out about me. She had no idea he was in a relationship. Once she knew, she cut things off with him for a while. At that point, he and I were still living together, but we moved into separate rooms because neither of us could afford to leave. Okay, this is a major problem, and it's a big problem because moving on, the first step in actually making it happen is creating space from each other. It's really hard to let an emotional connection create space to break off when you guys can't stop seeing each other so much. So I don't know what's going to happen next, but I do think that, like, if you can, moving apart from each other is going to be a really big, important thing. A few months later, the mistress unblocked him, okay, and they started talking again. I asked him out of basic respect to not have these conversations with her in the house where I could hear. That's fair. But things escalated, and at one point, it turned physical between us. Okay. Eventually, he moved into his own apartment. Okay, so now there's some space. That's good. When it came to the house, I made it clear that we're both financially stuck for now. Neither of us can buy the other one out, and nothing can happen with the house without both of our signatures. I also told him I'd only communicate about house-related matters through email. I removed him from all my social media, but didn't block his number since we shared financial responsibilities like car payments. So you did really good here. It sounds like you've started no contact up to the point where it's possible for you. I've repeatedly asked him to respect my boundaries and just move on with his life, but he hasn't. He still comes over whenever he feels like it and lets himself in with his key. I've asked for the key back multiple times, but he refuses. Legally, because he's a co-owner, my attorney says I can't change the locks without his consent. Okay, that seems like one of the problems we're going to have to talk about in this. I don't reach out to him at all. He's always the one initiating contact. Okay, that's really interesting. So he's like talking to this other woman, but still talking to you. Recently, he's even started coming to me for advice about his problems with his mistress. Wow. Apparently, they fight all the time. She doesn't trust him, makes sense. Checks his phone and does all the things you'd expect someone to do after being cheated on. I keep telling him that as long as he stays in contact with me, it's going to make things worse for their relationship. I've also tried convincing him to give me the key back and cut ties completely, but he always falls back on the house situation as his excuse. I can sense that he regrets leaving me. I completely agree. I think that's why he's doing everything he's doing. It seems like he's forcing a connection to remain between you two, which you guys were together for a very long time, but I bet a big part of that is regret. And also, like, it sounds like he's made major life changes, and you might represent that old part of his life that he actually misses and wishes he could go back to if he would give all this stuff up. I can sense that he regrets leaving me. He's made a few vague comments about not knowing if he's doing the right thing. Yeah, it's because his conscience is probably screaming at him that he's just started to make tons of choices that don't lead to happiness. Once he even admitted he's not sure what he's doing with his life. I've suggested therapy, but he hasn't followed through. Meanwhile, his life is spiraling. He's nearly been fired from his job for missing too many days, and he's gone on drug and alcohol benders where he disappears for days. The whole situation is taking a massive toll on me. Emotionally, physically, and mentally. I feel stuck, like I can't move forward. I don't even feel comfortable having people over because he could just walk in at any moment. Financially, I'm not in a position to sell the house or buy him out, so I'm tapped out here for now. Okay. I guess my question is, what can I do to convince him that no contact is the best thing for us, despite the house and everything else we co-own? I even tried pushing him towards his mistress, hoping he'd stay focused on her and not me. But the more I push him away, the more he snaps back, like a rubber band. I know selling the house might be my only option in the end, but I'm hoping you might have some advice or insight that could help me figure this out. Right now, it feels pretty helpless. First, personal message to you. It sounds like you're very, very resilient going through all of this. And honestly, I feel like you haven't gotten to grieve the whole relationship because you're having to deal with all of these logistical issues. And I'm sorry about that. In some ways, that's helpful. Like you have a lot of things that kind of make you feel like, whoa, why am I so sad about this? But I do want to say that if you do feel sad about it, like if you're feeling like I am actually losing someone that's very, very important to me, even though I agree, moving on sounds like the best option here, it's okay to feel sad about that. You had 4.5, 5 years together that sound like they were great. So if you do feel sad about it and you feel like you have to punish yourself or say, why am I sad about this person that's making all these dumb decisions now? It's okay. You're still grieving the loss of the amazing person that you spent those 4 or 5 years with. I have 2 ideas on how we can potentially move forward and make the situation better. First, we need to clearly identify what Jose wants so we can line up what he wants with what you want and you can both win. People, especially men, want to be the hero in their own story. And as long as you can paint what you want as making him the good guy and him getting what he wants at the same time, then we can have a much more persuasive conversation with him. So I've only got this story that we just read, but I've identified 4 things that he probably wants. First, it seems like he wants to avoid financial instability. Like he's got his own apartment, but he doesn't want to just blow it all and sell the house. He wants things to be stable like you want them to be stable. Second, he wants to maintain access to you, whether it's asking what he should do with this mistress lady or just to get your presence for comfort. He feels some regret and connection to you still, which means he wants you to see him in a positive light. He may be unwilling to let go of you if he's the bad guy in your eyes. Third, he wants control of his life. He wants to rebuild it, and although he's super vague in what he actually regrets and he continues to make these decisions that are destroying his life, he wants his own personal happiness. And then fourth, he does want the relationship to work with this new lady. He's brought it up, he's asking advice, he's working for it, it's important to him. So we can start this new conversation by sitting down and establishing common ground. Jose, I know this breakup hasn't been easy for either of us. I know we're both trying to do what's best for our own futures, but I think if we work together, then we can make this transition smoother for both of us. Next, you can frame reducing conflict with you as a way to make finances smoother. I've blocked you on social media and I want to go through mainly email and text because I think that if we reduce the stress that comes from conflict, we can avoid unnecessary stress and handle our finances in an easier way. When we're not arguing, it's a lot easier for us to stay on the same page with our house and our car payments. Next, I would dig a little deeper into what you did before about how cutting ties with you makes things easier for his new relationship. I think part of the tension you feel with her is because I'm still in the picture. And I know that makes sense because we had such a beautiful relationship and so much time together. But if we set clear boundaries and we stick to them, it's going to be a lot less stressful for you guys, and you're going to be able to succeed and have a beautiful relationship with her or anyone else you want to be with. And then you could reassure him that space away from you is going to make his decisions a lot more clear, and he's not going to have as much regret in his life. You've mentioned feeling unsure about your choices and what you want to do in the future. If we actually keep space from one another, it's going to clear up your brain in such a way that you're going to have a lot more clarity about what you want out of life. If you return your key, I think it's going to help us create the space we both need to move forward. I'll still keep you in the loop with the housing and the finances. And if you have any questions about those things, you can text me whenever you want. I don't want you to ever feel like you're in the dark. I know it's hard to give up the key because we're co-owners in the house and it's feeling like you're giving up control. But what this really is about is creating the space we both need to have peace in our lives. You'll still have an equal say in anything regarding the house, but this small change will give us the peace we need. I know you want what's best for us, and I believe that this is the way we can get there. Now, if he backtracks on that and says, no, I'm not going to give you the key because I have equal ownership in the house, I'm not going to give you all of it, you can reassure him that legally you can't do anything about it. You can't buy, sell, rent, or do anything without his approval first. And then you can appeal to the more noble parts of him. Just say that by giving me the key, you're showing me that you trust me and that you had that love for me. And it's important to you that I have the space that I need to heal and get better from this relationship, because as long as you keep popping in and I don't know when, it's hard for me to heal. However the conversation goes, remember to let him be the hero, purely because I think that's a lot more successful strategy to persuade someone. The second idea I had is to consider renting the house. Again, legally you'll have to get his approval, but if you can rent it, then you'll be able to get your own apartment too, and then you don't really need him to agree. You can just have your own space. Again, though, I think moving on is completely the right choice here. Thanks for watching. If you have any ideas based on this story, put them in the comments. If you want your story to be on the Breakup Tape, submit it in the description below and I'll pick the ones I think will help the most people. And if you need one-on-one coaching for your situation, whether it's moving on or getting back together, the link is in the description as well. I'll see you next time.